Good afternoon. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday to you and to all of you. Thank you for being here.
How many of you have been here all 3 days?
Oh, wow.
How many of you, this is your first day here with us, your only day here? That's great.
Wow, amazing.
And then how many of you, this is your very first convention? Oh, we got a couple out there.
Yeah.
We got a couple out there.
Happy to be a part of your first convention.
So, Linda, Jonathan, this is obviously so you came out in 1992, right? Aladdin came out in 1992. Yeah. When did you first start recording? And how did the audition process go? Was this something that you auditioned against, thousands of other people? Was it something that they sought you out for because of a particular type, your particular voice?
Well, we have different audition stories.
Oh.
Mine was, I think they did see at least hundreds of people because everybody that I knew was auditioning for this cartoon. So it was, everybody probably between 16 and 25 were auditioning for this role. And I had one audition in LA in a recording studio with the casting director, Albert Tavares. It was my first time meeting him. I didn't previously know him. He was very nice. We recorded the marketplace scene, and he said bye-bye, and I went home, and I didn't hear anything for another month. And then I got a call back for it, so I went back in. We did the marketplace scene again, some other scenes, and over 4 months, I kept going back, and there would be less people in the waiting room and more people watching the auditions. So it was getting higher and higher stakes. And honestly, I think I was getting a little bit more nervous. And at one point, I thought, I might have this if I don't mess anything up.
It was yours to lose.
Exactly. So it ended up that I was cast, and then we recorded for the next 2 years. A long time.
Well, my experience is similar, but not exactly the same, in that I knew Albert Tavares, who was the casting director, because he had cast a very problematic off-Broadway musical that I've been working on. And Albert was a great, he was a wonderful guy, as Linda said, but he had a good mind, he had a good creative eye, and he knew just what to do with people, I think. And so they brought me in, and the show I'd been doing, I'd been playing the villain in, and it was one of the first times I was asked to play a villain. And Albert said, they'd like me to come in on this. I happened to have an agent at the time who was very fond of animation, and so it all just kind of came together like that. And my experience was that I went and I auditioned, and the first time I was in a room with Albert, an accompanist, because I had to sing a song, and a piano that was not as big as half the size of the stage, maybe a quarter the size of the stage. It was rinky-dink, and I was like, Disney, I don't get it. And then 6 months later, I had a call back, and it was a very different experience. Yeah, 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, it was a long trajectory for me. And it was a very different experience. It was a very glamorous room that was draped, for sound, and there was a platform to sit on. There were a lot of very, serious-looking people in suits sitting at the end of the room. So I did the same audition that I did before, and on my way in, I passed by a wonderful actor that I knew named Tony Azito, who was tall and thin and looked very much like preliminary drawings of Jafar, and I thought, oh, Tony's going to get it. He has this, And I did my audition, then I didn't hear for several months again, and then right before Christmas of 1990, my agent called and said, Merry Christmas, you got the job. And then I started in January of 1991.
Wow, so in all actuality, from starting in January 1991, and then the movie being released in 92, that's not a lot of time for a hand-drawn animation film.
Well, they had been working on it a couple of years before we came into the process. So it was out there, and I think it actually flip-flopped with Beauty and the Beast. I think that originally it was supposed to be Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and for some reason Beauty came first.
That's right.
Do you remember why? Paige knows why, but
because of Alan Menken's health, and
because of Howard
Ashman's
Ashman's
health. Sorry, not
okay.
Alan. And
Yeah.
so it was complicated, and they needed to move that one forward
Okay.
because Aladdin had been further ahead, and then it got further behind, and then they were rushing things at in January.
Right. So it's a long process. I think 4 years, and for us, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So we're not there every day, but we are there throughout the process.
Most people don't know that the animation is the last thing to be done. All the editing is done in the voicing process because it's too expensive to throw away, especially hand-drawn at the time animation that's been done. It just costs too much money. So everything is, the actors are the last people to come in. The creative people are all there in the beginning. They're all working on the characters and getting them organized. All the scene work, all the text work is getting, worked on. Actors come in, we do our work, and then the animation is the last because they animate to your voice with the takes that they decide to use. It's a long process, but it was really interesting.
That's a question that we get so much. Do we do the drawing first or the voice first? And as Jonathan said, we do the voice recording first, and then they draw to the voice. And at the end, there will occasionally be a little sound, something that they've drawn in that they don't have an exact recording of, and then we'll do that sound to the picture. So that is the only case where we record after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, knowing that it was a Disney project, on the heels of Little Mermaid being released, were you a little bit nervous because, it was a Disney product?
Well, there's always nerves with putting yourself out there as a performer, right? So I think that it's not that we don't have nerves, it's that we just do it anyway.
Okay.
Like, we're nervous, but we just do it. Or maybe you're not so nervous.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm
you're
nervous right now.
Yeah.
You're making me very nervous.
I'm making him nervous. So we have, those feelings, I think, and then we just push through them because there's something else that you're really trying to do. And, for me, I was very much at the beginning of my career, and I was like, this is what it is. Be brave. Do it anyway, even though you're nervous, just get in there and do it. And a lot of rejection comes along with trying to be a performer and working in this field, and you just have to be okay with that.
And then, of course, Jonathan, you got to portray Jafar on Broadway.
Yes, I did it for 8 years. There's a wonderful Broadway production that's still running if you're ever in New York.
Has anyone seen it?
And it's
The Broadway production, yes.
And it's still running. It's a beautiful production, and that was a very long trajectory because they kept saying they wanted to do it because Disney had done other shows, other projects on Broadway, but they hadn't done Aladdin. And then one day I had a conversation with the producer of Disney Theatricals, and he said, we have this idea, and we'd like to do this. And I said, look, Tom, my biological clock is also running out, so I would recommend, because by the way, I was already an adult when I worked on the picture. Linda was still a kid.
I was a young adult.
Yeah, you were a child.
Pretty much, yes, I would say yes.
Yes, Linda and Scott were youngsters to me, and yeah, I was glad that they kind of decided to do it while I felt like I could do it. And it's a beautiful show. It's all over the world now, by the way. Hey, be quiet.
No.
Who is that?
Sing out. That is a future Disney princess.
Just the sound of my voice, I think. Anyway.
And Linda, knowing that it was again on the heels of Little Mermaid and what Jodie had done, and especially the songs, were you nervous that you would have to perform those songs?
This is such a great question because when I auditioned for Jasmine, she didn't have a song. She was just like the girlfriend of Aladdin. So it was really, the character developed over the 2 years that I was working on it, and they added a song about a year into me recording. And they were like, oh, by the way, can you sing? And I was like, no, not like that. Yes, so they said, okay, well, we already have somebody singing for Aladdin. That had been all along. Brad Kane had been doing the songs for Aladdin. Scott Weinger did the speaking voice. And they said, you know what, we're gonna find someone to sing and match your speaking voice. And I was like, I will believe it when I see it. They are gonna find out that that girl who sings can also talk. and then that's it for me, end of the line. And when I saw it at the El Capitan Theater at the premiere, and it was my speaking voice and Lea Salonga's singing voice, and it was seamless, and it was just incredible to see like how they did that. I was very relieved. And it was the first time in Disney history that they had split the singing and speaking voice for one of the princesses. And now they do it often, actually. Not always, but often.
I want to talk about coming to conventions like GalaxyCon and listening to stories, because that era, again, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, it wasn't the princess who was just waiting on Prince Charming. There was that definition, that new era of strong, independent Disney princesses.
Well, that was Howard Ashman and Alan Menken's work. I mean, largely, Howard especially, deciding how the story was going to be sculpted, and then the two of them working together on the music and the lyrics. I mean, they were brilliant at it, and it was really, they had that 3-picture deal. That's all of theirs, all those 3 that you just mentioned. So. Yeah, it was really, I think that's really was up to them.
I think also the Disney princesses seem to reflect the time that they appear in. And in the 90s, we were starting to see that strength coming through.
Evolution.
And, the evolution of women and young women. And it continues. We see stronger and stronger representation of the world that we see around us. And that's the exciting part about being with Disney. They really keep up. They do.
And you get to share stories of people, of course, as they get to come up and tell you that Princess Jasmine is their favorite princess. Jafar is their favorite villain. I'm sure you.
Well, I meet a lot of young girls, and they say they're, we're signing things. They say their name is Jasmine. I know exactly when they were born. But I have yet to have anybody hand me a picture and them say their name is Jafar. I mean, I know that there are people named Jafar, or Jafar as they sometimes say, but I have yet to have that happen. I look forward to it. Yeah, right.
Has anybody here been on a Disney cruise?
Oh.
Have you all seen the new upcoming Disney Treasure cruise ship that features in the Grand Hall a giant statue of Aladdin and Jasmine?
So I will be seeing it tomorrow. I'm going from here. You didn't know this?
No.
Oh, that's why I thought you brought it up.
No,
Oh my
I am the king of
gosh.
segues.
You are so good. So I'm leaving here tonight and going to Orlando and boarding the. Oh, we'll be on the same
I
flight.
live there. Maybe.
Maybe. And I'm boarding the Disney Treasure tomorrow and doing 2 4-day media cruises with them. So I'll get to see a lot of stuff, and they'll be filming a lot of stuff, and we'll all get to see the Disney Treasure.
That is awesome.
Very soon.
Yeah, that's amazing. Jonathan, before we go to our audience questions, I'm going to bring up something that you've done, a project that you have done recently where this universe is kind of taken off, and that is that Helluverse. You got to work on Helluva Boss. Any Helluva Boss, Helluverse fans in here?
Yes, that's a fairly new thing for me, but yeah, I do 2 characters at the moment. Paimon and also a cash buck, so they're both despicable people, but it's a lot of fun to work
I
on.
was gonna say, how fun is it? How fun is that project to do?
Well, it's crazy because Vivian Madrano, who is the creator, producer, director sometimes of the project, she's a very, very bright young woman, and it was interesting. She just decided she had this idea and she wanted to do it. And she didn't want to be beholden to a studio, a major studio or any studio, so that she didn't have a deadline to keep. So she just produced every time there was a new episode, they'd work on it as long as they needed to. And then they'd put it out there when it was time to put it out there, when it was ready. And so that's unusual. And so it's a very different way of working because nobody feels like they're under pressure. There's no deadline, you know. And I think I started doing some of my stuff actually during the pandemic. So I was really like in a booth with one person, a technician, and everybody else was talking to me over earphones or like on a Zoom or something, yeah. So it's a great experience. It's a lot of fun. It's stupid fun, but fun. Yeah.
All right, would you like to take some audience questions now?
Yes.
Hello, what's your name?
Hello, my name is Ethan. I'm the world's biggest Aladdin fan. Jasmine's been my favorite princess for a very, very long time. I even dressed up as her for 4 years in a row for Halloween. My question is, if you had the lamp, what would your 3 questions be?
3 wishes?
Yes.
Ooh, that is so good. Okay, so I think I would make wishes for the people that I love, for the world that I live in, and maybe one for me. So for the world that I live in, I would wish for peace. For the people that I love, I would wish for health. And for me, I would wish for a life of love.
Oh, that's so nice. Spoken like a
I
real.
said all the good ones. What's
Spoken
left?
like a real princess.
Right? But genuinely, I didn't think of that question for a long time, and thank you for asking it.
Thank you for answering.
Do you want to answer? Do you have 3 wishes?
No.
Hello. Hi, what's your name?
Spoken like a true villain.
My name is Carrington, and my question is, which outfit of Jasmine's do you like the most?
Which one do you like the most?
I like the original, the blue one, personally.
I love that one. I also happen to love the red one. I feel like it doesn't get enough attention, and that is such a great outfit. But the classic Jasmine, always my favorite.
But if you go see the Broadway show, there's a spectacular wedding outfit too. Remember?
Yeah, and Jasmine has a wedding
Yeah.
dress in the 3rd movie.
Third one.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
the stage dress is pretty great, I think.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's great.
If you like things that are beautiful and sparkly and fantastic
you.
looking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Renee,
Hi, Renee.
and I know you both have obviously been in voice acting for a while, and I love voice acting because it's so expressive and we see you without ever seeing you, and that's such artistry. So my question for you is, for actors on screen, on stage, do you think there's a benefit to them learning voice acting so they can bring that same expression on screen and stage?
Well, we didn't start out as voice actors. We started out as theater actors. So I think that really learning the craft live is the best training. And you learn to use your voice when you're on stage in ways that you don't do in normal life. There is some technique with a microphone that I think it is important to learn. How that translates to a live action performance, I don't think they need to specifically have that technique in mind because they're all professionally mic'd and they can forget about what is going on with sound. We have to really focus on it because that's all we've got. But that's a great question, and I really think that for us it's all acting training that gives us the skills that we need to do this.
Thank you so
Ditto.
much.
I think it's important. And actually, you know what comes in really handy for these big, fancy, extravagant fairy tale films and stage shows is some classical training too,
Like Shakespeare.
like Shakespeare, Wycherley, Congreve, Moliere, if anyone. But it helps you fill out these larger-than-life characters, I think. And I think it makes a difference sometimes, but definitely having some training. Training helps everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To piggyback off of what you said, Linda, Jim Cummings has a great line where he says it's a little V, big A. So emphasize the acting and not necessarily voice.
Right, right.
Hello, what's your name?
Hi, Spotlight's bright. Hi, name's Kayla. Nice to meet you both and good to see you. I hope you're enjoying GalaxyCon and everything that's to offer. My question is a bit of a fun one. If Aladdin would happen to have a crossover with another Disney movie, which Disney movie would you choose and why?
Oh, that's fun. Okay, Aladdin crossover with another Disney movie. Another Disney animated?
Yeah.
Well, Jafar already had one with Hades in Hercules, I believe.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
also House of Mouse.
Princesses had a big crossover with
Oh, yeah.
With Wreck-It
Wreck-It
Ralph.
Wreck-It
Ralph Breaks the Internet. So
Yep, I
we got
remember
to
that
do
too.
that. But if we were just doing a mashup of two movies, I think it would be great to do The Little Mermaid and Aladdin because you would have like Under the Sea World and the whole new world. That would be a fun one.
I was thinking Frozen because of like the different climates of Agrabah being like the hot desert and then Frozen being like just kind of seeing how Aladdin, Jasmine, Jafar would react to like a cold
Yeah,
climate.
Jasmine would need a coat.
Yeah, they have no winter clothes. That's good.
Thank
That's
you.
good.
Thank you
Write
very
it.
much.
Write it.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Paige, and this is more of a question, I guess, for Linda. But where do you think Jasmine is at the end of the third movie? Do you think she's like ruling Agrabah and she's married and she has kids, or do you think she's like traveling around and filling in her time in before taking over for her dad?
I think all of the above. I think that Jasmine is like a boss and she is doing it all. And because she has a little magic in her life, she can make it happen.
Yes.
And also that carpet, she can go anywhere really fast.
You don't think she's mourning the loss of Jafar?
And she's so sad about Jafar. She might give you a pardon and get you out of that lamp. I don't know.
I don't know. I see her in a black veil being very sad and
Don't think so.
Well, thank you.
Hello.
hello.
You can tilt it down.
You can tilt it, yeah.
I think we can hear you.
Hi, my name is Logan. First of all, I want to thank you both for being such a big part of my childhood. Aladdin is one of my favorite movies ever. You were both just really incredible. My question for both of you is, what life experiences were most helpful to you in becoming voice actors?
What life experiences were most helpful to us in becoming voice actors?
Well, for me, I mean, I did train as an actor. You know, I started acting as a kid at the Cleveland Playhouse. I was born in Ohio, born in Bay Village, raised in Cleveland, went to school in Athens, Ohio. And, you know, part of my training was classical training. And again, I think for me, the thing that helped the most with this animated characters is some kind of classical training, sort of bigger than life, you know, characters and experiencing those huge silhouettes and figuring out how to fill them up and make them authentic and believable. So that's what I would say. But it's very helpful for me.
I think for me, kind of a weird answer, but I had training as a dancer starting when I was very young, and I was very dedicated to it. And I think that dance taught me a discipline that I approached every other thing in my life with that intensity. And when I had an opportunity to work in voice acting, I really approached it with that same interest in technique and excellence, and it just was a mindset that I brought to it that I really developed in childhood through my dance studio. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a good question.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Nathaniel. So I just had a question, I guess about acting. Like, what makes you decide that you want to go into acting? Like, do you just decide like, hey, this is what I want to do, or do you have a backup plan? Like if, like say, if this doesn't work out for, a year, then I'm going to do this. Like what makes you decide to
go into it.
acting?
So it's a great question. Two parts. So the first part, what makes you decide to go into it? I think it's different for everyone. I know a lot of people who started when they were children, started in school theater, community theater. For me, I didn't know I wanted to be an actor. I started in dance, as I said before, and that world of acting opened up to me because of my world of dance. And in terms of a backup plan, I don't recommend it. I really think you should go 100% for the thing that you are drawn to. And then if life brings something else in front of you, be open to it. There might be something else that's more interesting or makes more sense in your life at a certain time, and be open to it. But don't go into one thing thinking, if this doesn't work out. Plan for it to work out. It will work out. It'll bring you to the next thing. Whatever that is, we don't know. That's the mystery.
Right.
Do you have thoughts on that?
No, I think that's a very good answer, Linda.
That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
My name is James. I was curious, I know he passed roughly 2.5 years ago, but do you have any notable interactions or anything to say on Mr. Gilbert Gottfried?
Well, I can tell you that we miss him very much. Both of us do, because he used to come to these Comic-Cons with us, and it's getting a little lonely. It's just me and Linda and Scott, because all the other principals from the film have passed away now. And, no, Jim is still here.
Jim's still.
Yeah. But, so,
Frank
Welker, that's right. Yeah, but anyway, we miss him very much. He was a great asset to the film. Not many people know this, or maybe a couple people do. I was actually playing Iago and Jafar in the very beginning, and there's only one recording of me as Iago. There's a 4-album set that's called The Music Behind the Magic. You can find it somewhere these days. I don't know. It's in the Disney Vault. And two of the discs are of Aladdin, and it's also a great educational tool, because you hear Alan and Howard talking about what a scene wants to be, or what it needs to be, or what a song starts, and so originally the idea was the Iago was just going to be like some sort of proper little copycat butler and would just talk like a parrot, and then if he had to mimic somebody like Jasmine, they would take Linda would record it and they'd put it into the mouth of the parrot. And so there's one song called Humiliate the Boy, which was the first thing I recorded. And you hear me playing both characters. And it was problematic for me when we started working, because I didn't feel like I had the right thing to play against. And I was it was difficult, because it meant that I had to be more psychotic all the time. And as soon as they hired Gilbert, I had something to really push against. And so for me, I really miss him. We were together a lot. He was always on my shoulder. And we spent a lot of time in the studio together. I spent time with Linda and other actors too, but mostly with Gilbert. And we had a lot of fun over a 2-year period. But he's a terrific guy. And,
Yes.
I always like to say this. He said, stop telling people this, you'll ruin my career. He's a lovely guy. That loudmouth thing is really kind of Gilbert, but he's a sweet guy, married to a wonderful woman with 2 hilarious kids, and he was really one of the nicest people that I ever met, and I'm sorry he's not here to talk to you himself.
Gilbert and I happened to live 3 blocks away from each other in New York for 25 years. So in addition to the time that I got to spend with him working on the cartoon series mostly, we worked together a ton. And I don't think I worked with him on the film. Or maybe, yeah, I think we were in the studio one day, you and Gilbert and I.
Yeah.
But the cartoon series, we were together every week for 2 years. I miss him a lot, and I really appreciate you remembering him for all of us here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left. I think we can get through all these questions
We'll,
here.
we'll answer quickly.
Hello, what's your name?
Hi, not close enough. Hi, my name is B. My question's mostly for Linda. Every year I watch the Disney Princess Christmas Enchantment movie, the Christmas movie. I know you did the voice acting for Jasmine in that as well, and I wanted to know what your experience with it in that movie is, because it's one of my favorites that I watch every year.
Well, thank you. I don't get to hear a lot about it, so that's really great. I'm so happy you
I
brought
watched
it
it
up.
like last week.
Oh, that's so great. My experience doing that, as with all of these additional films and short films and things that we get to do, is it's just really wonderful to keep working consistently with the people from Disney Character Voices who keep Jasmine true to 1992 Jasmine through all of these new projects. So it was a wonderful experience, and I'm really glad that you love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Savannah.
Hi, Savannah.
One of my favorite authors, Katie Roberts, has a Twisted Villain series where Jasmine and Jafar actually end up together, and Aladdin is the villain. Have you read it, and what are your feelings on that alternate universe?
I love alternate universes. It's so cool when people use that creativity and come up with different ideas of how things could have played out. And that's kind of life, right? Like, things can play out so many different ways. I think that's great. I would love to read it. So thank you for bringing it to our attention.
It's really good.
So cool. What's her name?
Savannah.
Your name's Savannah, and the author is?
Katie Roberts. It's called Desperate Measures.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Catherine. It's just a pretty simple question. What are your favorite lines in Aladdin for both of you?
Oh, so good. Can I go first?
Yeah, please.
I feel like I have the best line of the movie. It's all so magical. And that to me really sums up the experience and the decades that we have been with these characters. So that's my favorite.
Okay.
I honestly don't have a favorite. I feel like the writing for Jafar was so good, was so specific. He never speaks in contractions, you'll notice. And I mean, I love them all. Patience, Iago, patience. I mean, everything is laid out and really does make him seem like a real villain, I think, to me. I thought it was just, the writing is terrific. So I can't tell you that I have a favorite line. Do you have a favorite line?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
I do like something early on in the movie, which is my most abject and humble apologies, Your Majesty.
Yeah.
I feel like that really sort of like lays out how slimy he is. But there's not a bad line. I mean, it's very well written. If you break it down, you'll see how clever it is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as we wrap up, I'm gonna ask you, obviously, a movie that, came out in 1992, and here we are in 2024, still celebrating it, still celebrating you, still celebrating that project, and being able to hear the stories, see the eyeballs, of the person telling you their stories. What does that mean to you?
Go
means
ahead. You go first.
It means a lot. We come to these events because we are able to hear back from people what the work that we did in a studio, isolated in a studio, we don't really know until you tell us the impact that it's had out there in the world. So
It's a long
it means
time
a lot,
ago.
and we're grateful for it.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. So, Gilbert and I were on a train going out to work on a project on the Cape at a school called the Riverview School, and we both said to each other on the way out there, could you imagine in a million years that we would still be doing something together that was not working on the film specifically, but connected to the movie. It's been kind of fantastic in that way. It has lasting power, and it's all over the world. I mean, you know, the film is shown everywhere. It's been dubbed into every language, and there are stage productions. I can tell you this, in the first scene that we had in the show, that I had in the show, occasionally some kid would start crying, and I'd think to myself, ooh, I must be good today. I've really done my job, and I feel really good about it.
Well, would you like to
Twisted.
would you like to commemorate this occasion with a giant photo with our fans here in Columbus?
Yes.
All right. So if you guys want to gather up over here by the stage, not on the stage.